Good evening, everybody, and welcome. It's that time of the week again. It's Misfits Formula Racing, Misfits Racing League for Formula 2 action here to round out our racing week here at Hungary. It's been an interesting week. A lot of unique action drama has taken place around the Hungaroring this week, and to cap it all off, we always end it with a couple of F2 community races free to join for anyone in the Discord to come and partake in. Today, I am joined by me, myself, and I. I am alone, but this has led to a fairly unique opportunity. For the first time, I think, ever, we are having 21 drivers on the F2 grid, including Striffy MSJ. So, for the first time ever, another first, I get to commentate on Striff's driving. So, usually commentate with him. Today, I finally get the opportunity to commentate on his driving. So that should be fairly interesting, and we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, the Hungaroring, it's been pretty dramatic so far. We've seen a lot of action here. Tholtzmann's charge, obviously the standout moment of this week. I think it's fair to say that charge has been immortalized in its own YouTube clip right here on the channel. Obviously, this being YouTube, thank you all very much for tuning in. Obviously, we usually over on Twitch, but for the Formula 2, we've switched it over to YouTube here just for a little bit of diversification. So a little bit different to Twitch. If you could hit that like button, it really helps us out just below the stream there. But here we are, one-shot qualifying around Hungary. 21 drivers. We'll see who it lands on. Although, to be fair, just because I want to, I'm going to switch to Striff's qualifying lap because it's my one and only chance to commentate Striff's qualifying lap. So here we are, one-shot qualifying. We'll be on board with Striffium. And I actually don't know what car he got in the end. I think he's in an MP Motorsport, but he was hoping for the Prima. I don't know if he ever got his hands on one. He didn't sound like he got one. He was very disappointed prior to the race in a call I was in with him. Well, we got Maxime B here for the first time this season. You know, a lot of familiar faces in terms of the F2. We've got Domi there. We've got Maka. We've got Williams. Coffee Sipper. Moen, I believe, is in here. Rutanius is back. Neon. A lot of familiar faces. We're not going to go through them all right now. We'll go through them in a little bit. Obviously, there's not a lot of time in between things here. We've got a few new faces as well, I think. Not too many, but 21 races. 21 drivers. Striff currently sitting in provisional pole, it would seem. Although falling a little bit. It looks like he's got the Carling in the end. The Red Bull liveried car. So you can imagine he's probably a little bit disappointed about that. Coming out of turn 1, DRS enabled for him. We'll go on board. He's in Sonoda's car. Obviously, Sonoda being promoted to Formula 1 after his debut season in F2. Here is Striff in his car, coming out of turn 3, down towards turn 4. The Canadian in the Japanese driver's car. Now through turn 5, you don't want to hit that curb on the inside. Striff doing well to avoid that here. Exiting turn 5 then in the run. Down into the 6-7 chicane. The F2 cars smaller. They can provide a little bit more side-by-side action. So I wonder whether that will open up 6 there for a little bit of overtaking in the race. As he comes through 8, 9 now. Opening up into 10. And you could just see the cars a little bit slower, which can deceptively make things a little bit easier. But in fact, the traction is a little bit less. So sometimes it's just a little bit harder for the corners. Into 12 now. A very popular overtaking spot for a little bit of a lunge in Formula 1. Into turn 13, the penultimate corner for Striff. Now he's still in that top 10, but a big spin coming out of that penultimate corner. Just getting on the power a little bit too vigorously. It's going to be Domi then we hop on board with as he crosses the line in P1. Fairly far ahead of everyone else as well. And, well, for Striffium, it has not gone well. He's still sliding. He's actually coming into the pit lane. He is retired from the session in the pit lane. But there we are. Qualifying is over. We'll see what Striff can muster up from what I believe was last. But we've got Domi on pole with the 4 points going to him. Half a second ahead of Eric in the Uni Virtuosi car. Then we have Kebab, Psycho. So Psycho, a few people have put that Kebab prior to their name. We've got Psycho in the Trident in third. Jimsy in 4th, Macca in 5th, Rutanius in 6th, Backrow in 7th, Welsh Toast in 8th, and we have JA Games in 9th. Coffee Sipper rounds out that top 10. Then we have Bowen, Ford Sedan, Varrock, Maxime B, Williams, Mavanji, Steph, Neon, Yasko, Strithium, and then Vox F1 down there in 21st place. So he can take pride in the fact that he is the only person ever to qualify in P21. But here we go. There will be no formation lap. So as soon as this loading screen disappears, as soon as everyone has loaded into the session, got themselves onto the strategy they want. Obviously, there is a mandatory pit stop here in the feature race. The sprint race following it will not have a mandatory pit stop. We'll see what sort of tyre wear these guys can get out of Hungary here. In the F1 cars, it's a little bit difficult. You know, you see these massive undercuts on fairly early soft stops, you know, from lap 5, 6 to try and undercut, where the typical strategy is between 7 and 9. But the undercut is so powerful around here. We'll see whether that could take effect here, but they can't do that mandatory pit stop in the first 3 laps. So we'll see whether that is a little bit of a problem, and I think that would make the reverse strategy quite popular here. I do believe it's the mediums and the softs available to everyone. I think that is. We can see it there, the yellow walls and the red walls. But we've got 5 red lights here on in Hungary, and here we go. Oh wait, Eric, a very good start compared to Domi off the line. Let's see. Jimsy there behind them, but it's Kebab Domi on the outside in the run down to turn 1. Eric on the inside. Can he find the lunge? It's mediums versus mediums, I do believe. Jimsy here behind Ford Sedan. He's had a little bit of a problem. You can see a little bit of shuffling further down. We've had a big problem at the back. What has gone on here? We have got Vox F1 round. It would seem Yasko here with some damage, and it does look like we've got a big crash behind Moen. Neon involved in a little collision. Actually, it wasn't Neon. It was Varrock, I believe, there. But it looks like we've got a fair few end plates, a few wings damaged quite significantly. Strithium, he's made 6 places on his F2 debut. Rutanius back row. They're side by side under safety car, and it's VSC, and oh, Rutanius has gone round. He's always an advocate for not staying too close under safety car. Well, under this VSC, he's got a little bit closer comfort, and that has caused a big problem here. Let's have a quick look at the position changes under this VSC. So we've got Domi and Eric up at the top, unchanged, P1 and P2. Then Jimsy and Psycho have changed. Back row's up 2, Macca's down 1. Then Ford Sedan, he's up 4, sorry, as well as Maxime B, he's up 4 as well. And there's been a big problem further down. Yasko, I think he was one of those drivers with pretty major wing damage, and he's had a bit of a problem there. But looking further on up at the field, let's see what's going on in these more competitive places, the top half of the grid. We'll get those tyre graphics updated as well as we come through to end out the first lap. It's been a pretty eventful lap 1, as it looks like a few people coming into the pit lane, Welsh Toast being the first of them. Meanwhile, Macca hunting down back row for P5 as they come down into turn 1. Psycho having a look on the inside of Jimsy as well, but it's Macca in the Prima up the inside through turn 1, and he's got the move done. Can he hold it though? Back row seems to have a nice exit here. Switching around, looking for Slipstream, trying to find a way back past, but the Prima Motorsport car has secured 5th place right now. Very impressive from him. JA Games, what can he do? He's found his way past Ford Austin, but around the outside of 3. Can he hold it? He can. What a move from him. Excellent stuff from him. Psycho's still very close to the rear of Jimsy. He's been looking for this move for a while. You can also see what looks like 7 cars in the pit stop, or the pit lane, I should say. Not all in one individual pit stop, but there we are. No movement here. Hungary, particularly difficult track to overtake around, particularly in this Sector 2 area of the track. You don't want to be making any bold moves here. It's a very risky place with these switching turns. Long, fast corners. Here, down into turn 12, you can send a lunge up the inside, though. Can we see Maxime B get a good exit here? On Ford Sedan, we saw him drop to JA Games. Kebab Domi, has he had a problem? He has. He's losing out here to Jimsy for second place. Jimsy not quite fighting a way through, though, and that could open him up for Psycho behind Ford Sedan, Maxime B. They're still exchanging with a battle here up at the front. Let's see what it could do. Domi looking around the outside of Eric down into turn 1. Psycho here looking up the inside, faked it on the outside. So Jimsy defending the wrong line. You can see there Domi, Eric still side by side. It's the Trident here looking for 3rd place It's mediums versus mediums, soft versus softs. And Psycho's up into third place around the outside. Eric's holding on to P1 for the time being. But Domi, he might get the move around the outside of 3. He does. What a move from the Hungarian in his home track. And my oh my, what a lovely bit of racing we have just witnessed. And we've got Backrow trying to join the fun there in the dams just behind Maka here. And as they battle more, they'll bring these guys into it. They'll reel in JA Games as well, who's put a little bit of a gap between himself and Maxime B. That fight between Maxime and four-door sedan might have helped him there. As I say it, JA Games picks up a 3-second time penalty. But what a nice bit of battling we've got from there, and everything's calmed down a little bit for the first time since those lights went out. And as I say it, Neon, well, he's won this race around this track twice this week in Tier 2 and then again in Tier 1, really proving his strengths, and he has been promoted to that top division. But here in F2, it's just showing that it's a completely different beast. It's a completely different discipline, and as a result, really struggling there as the leaders now come down the start-finish straight. The Trident of Psycho is having a nice run on Jimsy. What a lunge from the Trident driver. He's had such a lunge. He's just given a little bit of a love tap to the rear of the Uni Virtuosi ahead of him. Eric, though, hanging on to P2, but how much longer can he say he is going to be securing that position for, because Psycho is on a real charge. What an exit out of the final corner. You've got Maka now having a little look at Jimsy. Can he find the switchback? He can. What a move we are seeing here from the Prima Motorsport car. He is a veteran here in F2, and it's really going to show. He is showing his strengths, showing his stripes, and that is how you do it. Welsh Toast, Steph, and Moen, they're all battling, but it's Welsh Toast into the pit lane at the end of that one. Meanwhile, the leader, Domi, hasn't really been able to run away with things, but he might be able to put a little bit of a gap between him and P2 for, you know, to break that DRS train. And that could be really strong if you can get that done. Now, Maxime Bean, we saw him overtake four-door sedan coming down into turn 12, or realistically sort of out of turn 12 and then through 13. Can he do a similar move on JA Games here? Not going to be. You can see there the MP Motorsport driver just hanging on for P7 at the moment. Meanwhile, for third place, Psycho's up the inside of the final corner. It's Eric. It is the Uni Virtuosi around the outside. And he's doing well to hold on now, but the soft's just affording Psycho a little bit extra traction. And as you can see now, back markers coming out of the pit lane. You don't want that impacting your race. Here we go. Maxime B up the inside of JA Games. Can JA get the switchback? He can. And there's a car on the inside there. I think that's Welsh Toast, and that might have cost JA a little bit of a run here. But he's still, you know, in this one. He's just behind Maxime B, but he has lost the position. And he won't be satisfied with that. And you can see here he's got a nice run down to 4. A bit too difficult for a position here. Strivium, he's into the pit lane. He is onto those mediums. I don't know if there was a wing change in there or not, or whether that was just a scheduled pit stop. We'll have to see what the Canadians got in store. But he is now, you know, miles behind the rest of this pack. But we've seen the undercut's very powerful. Strift's watched like just as many races as I have, I think, this week. And he's seen that undercut work time after time. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what's going through his head right now. He's seen Neon pull off this undercut in Tier 1. We saw it in Tier 2, Tier 3. I'm sure it happened in Americas as well, where, you know, in some of those races, weather took hold of things. But here, the undercut in the dry, very, very powerful. So I imagine Strift's trying to take advantage of that and capitalize on some of his knowledge that he's got. It looks like we've had a bit of a problem. I don't even know how I can switch to Muvani here. There we go. We found him off in the grass in P21 right now. Something I'm not really used to saying. But there we go. A lot of pit stops coming through now. Back row, Maxime B, JA Games, four-door sedan. All in that pit stop. And Rutanius, well, he's capitalizing on this one. He is soaring up the order into P7. We saw him have a pretty bad start under that VSC. Had a little bit of a spin through turn 5. I don't know whether he clipped the curb or whether he got a little bit of tap there or a little bit of both. But either way, the Dutchman trying to sort of repair his race here. 5 laps on the mediums. He's got the softs. He'll be a little bit faster at the end of things. We'll see if that can play into his hands. Meanwhile, There's a big battle going on. The top 5 still very close. The top 4 really is Psycho is stuck behind a car. The cameras really did not afford us a good angle of that at all. But that car is disconnected. And Psycho here has just been absolutely imprisoned behind it. So that is very, very unfortunate there. Meanwhile, Coffee Sipper, he might be able to take a little bit of an advantage from this. He is now right on the rear of Psycho. He is in the BWT that very much looks like the racing points that we use in the F1 division. Moen, as always, sporting the other car here. They're off wide. It's Psycho. You can see he's got a lot of damage. Well, it seems like he's acting with damage, but he's not got any. I assume that he'd gone wide. Is that Striff? It's Striff off. Striff has spun coming out of turn 3. I don't think he was racing anyone anyway. So it's so unfortunate to see him spin his teammate for the evening. Neon comes past him there. Rutanius gets another load of places based on Psycho, Coffee Sipper, Maka, Jimsy all into the pit lane. And the mediums now starting to work for him in terms of the pit window. We'll see what sort of position these leaders now come out in on the fresh softs. Varrock, interesting enough, he's staying out on 6-lap-old softs. So we'll see where he lands himself, because right now he is getting undercut and risking losing a lot of positions as a result of that. But for these guys on the mediums, Domi, Eric, Rutanius, who've started on this other option, I want to see where they land, because I thought at the start of this race it could be pretty popular. Williams, he's struggling on tyre wear, it seems. I think he's just had a bit of an issue there coming out of the penultimate corner. But here he is coming out of the final corner. He hasn't chosen to pit. I think that might be a little bit of a mistake from him. But here he is soldiering on, still in 14th place, but with a pit stop still to go. I think he's going to struggle to get any points from this one. And all importantly as well, that top 8 reversed grid. So you've got to manage that. And you've got to try and force yourself into the 8th place if you're in 9th. So that battle between Maxime, JA Games that we've been seeing. Psycho is in there. Fordos and Al was in there before, but now we've got Coffee Sipper and Psycho in there. We'll see how those 4 fight for that 8th place. It's very important to try and just grab that pole position for the next one. Meanwhile, Psycho looking around the outside of Coffee Tipper. But it was through turn 11. You don't see that one too frequently. And it hasn't worked out for him. I think that's just illustrating why you don't see that too frequently. But there it is. Meanwhile, Striff's got actually back past Neon. And I think they'll be quite happy with that one, given that we see Neon very regularly. Psycho, he's struggling. We saw Striff struggle through turn 13. He came across in chat earlier today. Striff's out. Speaking of the devil, Striffium has retired the car coming through the 6-7 chicane. It looks like we've got a full course yellow. We do. It's another VSC. Let's have a quick look. Where is this? His car's all the way to the left there. How has he managed off over there? That is a big deviation from where you would expect someone to be. And we've only got a VSC as a result, because it is nowhere near the track. Now, this is good news if Domi was a bit closer to the pit lane, but I think that this safety car is going to end before that he can really take advantage of it. But at the same time, he's still got to probably try. Softs, though, I don't think they'll make it to the end 11 laps, so actually, he'll have to keep going. But yeah, Striff out of this one. He's the first retirement of the session. I think that's going to be a problem for him. Coffee Sipper, drive through for speeding under the safety car. That's not going to do him any favors when trying to get that 8th place. But here we go. We're back to green flag racing. Maxime B, one of the closest gaps on the grid. He's been hunting down a few drivers so far today. We'll see what he could do. Who is that? I think it was Volks, just parked at the side of the track, just letting through a little bit of traffic. It was a yellow flag. I thought it was back row for a second, but then I realized I'm looking right at him here from the onboard of Maxime B. Meanwhile, Striff coming across in the chat saying he was not given a good setup at all, which is very unfortunate to hear. Coffee Sipper into the pit lane, presumably to serve that drive-through penalty that he's just picked up for speeding under the safety car. That's going to really take him out of this race. Well, DRS available for Psycho. He's got to take advantage of this. Try and catch JA Games so he can get DRS on that MP Motorsport ahead. Because if he doesn't, he's going to drop further back and he'll really struggle. Or at least he won't catch as quickly as he would if he did have it. So We'll see what he can do. But here goes Maxime B around the outside of turn 4. Back row trying to come back, but nothing will be doing against a move like that. Maxime B in his first F2 race since Abu Dhabi last season. I thought I hadn't seen him here for a while. I couldn't remember if I'd seen him here before, and he came across, told me. First F2 race since Abu Dhabi, and he's doing pretty well. I gotta say, an impressive drive so far from him. But now gaps really starting to form elsewhere on the grid. We've still got that front 3 to pit though. Rutanius, Eric, Domi. All of them yet to pit. We'll see how long they think they can take the softs. We've seen them go about 5, 6, 7 laps mostly. So fairly similar to the softs in the F1 races that we've been seeing this week here around the Hungaroring. Obviously this is wrapping up the Hungaroring action, but we'll be back for Spa next week. But we'll see when they start to come in, because if let's say they could get 7 laps, that pit window will open for them in about 2 laps time, and then you might see them try to go for the overcut, try and get those softs as fresh as possible until the end. Oh, Jimsy, he seems to be catching Macca at quite a rapid rate. He does have a penalty here. Let's have a quick look at the penalty situation. For most people, there is, you know, single digits. 3 seconds for Jimsy here, 3 seconds for JA Games. We have Psycho with a 5-second. Coffee Sip at 11 seconds, the only one with double digits. Vox, he's got a drive through as well as 8 seconds for Steph and Mavanji, but those shouldn't play too much of a role here. It's really more these 3 seconds for JA and Jimsy and the 5 seconds for Psycho. That pole position there could be decided on these. There's Steph's AI car, it would seem, getting past here. Mavanji, 5-second penalty for spinning the pit lane. We'll see whether that leads to a retirement here. That's sometimes an indicator that someone has just sort of had that moment where they don't think they can go on anymore and they speed into the pit lane to retire the car. But for all of you who are just joining us, we're on lap 11 of 19 of the first of 2 races, the feature race prior to the sprint race here at the Hungaroring to wrap up Misfits for Racing League action here in Hungary. My name's Unicorn. Typically, I'd be joined with Alex today, but other commitments mean he can't be here today. But that has afforded us a 21-car race here in Formula 2. So if you're new here, please do smash that like button. It really helps us out. We've just moved the F2 to YouTube from Twitch. All of our other races streamed over on the Misfits RL Twitch account. But here, if you're new, subscribe to the YouTube channel. All of our race replays from Twitch are uploaded here. And a big shout out as well to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking for a sim racing rig, do be sure to check them out at their website. They're doing awesome things for the sim racing community. If you're looking for a sim racing rig, they are the people to check out with. But here in F2, we continue with a fairly quiet second half to the race. We're still just waiting for those front 3 to come into the pit lane and sort of exchange, as there's been a very stationary car. Mavanji just stopped there on track. I think that's really unsettled the 2 BWTs. So you've got Coffee Sipper ahead of Moen. Moen picking up a 3-second and going wide at turn 3 there. But you've got them in 11th and 12th right now. Mavanji is just joined, so I don't know whether there's some sort of connection issue there. Maybe a problem with a wheel or something, a controller disconnect. I don't know, and then a lobby disconnect. But either way, very unfortunate. Neon, 3-second time penalty for him. As it would appear, Jimsy just set a fastest sector 3 of the race. So that's nice for him, and we're seeing him close down Macca. I think that DRS really just drawing him in, giving him that little bit of extra speed. Maybe not through sector 3, and maybe that's just raw pace, but right now, he's doing a lot of good to reel in that Prima Motorsport ahead of him. Lucas Giotto's car hunted down the Prima. I do believe that's Mick Schumacher's car. It is. Before, obviously, he got promoted as well to F1 this season, where he's had a pretty rough start in that Haas, but it is his rookie season. You can forgive a little bit of a mistake, as it was Jimsy having a big slide there through the 6-7 chicane. Jimsy with a penalty as well, like a cost him here. Volts there, just getting out of the way Domi, he comes into the pit lane. We haven't seen any of these leaders pit yet, but he picks up a 5-second for doing so. And there's home Grand Prix. That is not what he wants to be doing. That could cost him here. He's got the undercut, but that 5-second penalty could really eat into it as we've got an exchange. It's Williams and Yasko down out of the points, but still fighting for bragging rights. We'll see what they could do. It's Domi into the pits for some fresh softs. We'll see what sort of pace he can carry here. He's going to come out around Maka and Jimsy's fight. Where is he? There he is, the Hungarian. It's going to be right behind. Well, he's going to be behind Maka, but he's side by side with Jimsy here. You can see from the rear of the Prima car, Domi just side by side with Jimsy, not quite getting the run he needs out of turn 1 to overtake here. But, well, let's see the power of the fresh softs. Look at the traction he's got, hugging that inside line, really opening him up. Not quite aggressive enough to get through on the exit of turn 3, but in the run down to turn 4, he's played chicken, and it would seem he's... Well, he would have won, I think. If there hadn't been an incident, it would appear we have had a retirement. Vox F1 off out of turn 2. Let's see if we can get a view of that Dam's car as we come through. There it is, just completely binned in the wall straight on. Very difficult crash to have. I don't know if he was battling anyone, but he's just straight-lined it there out of turn 2. So, problem for him there. Very, very unfortunate, but into the wall he goes. And for the second time of the session, we've got a car in the wall. Another safety car. Brilliant news for Eric and Rutanius. Perfect time for them to pit stop. We've got a few guys on the mediums as well. They're coming into the pits as well to go on to the softs. Taking advantage of this sort of free pit stop, people like to call it. Now, is this going to cost time to anyone? Is that Eric being held? No, it's not. It's his teammate. Domi, he's back into the pit lane as well. I think he's trying to try and get that 5 seconds served under the safety car. Pretty good strategy from him. Meanwhile, we see here Rutanius. He's getting out as well. Where is P4? I think it's Maxime B. He's going to get past Rutanius. Back row as well. Where's Rutanius in all of this? He's going to come out. Fighting with his teammate, but obviously the safety car going to prevent JA Games from getting past here. But JA up into P6 now. But welcome to everyone who's just tuning in. We're under safety car here in the feature race. Still a sprint race to come, so don't worry. You haven't missed, 3/4 of the action. Still a good race to go after this one. Meanwhile, a few pit stops still coming in further down the order. But it's still Eric in lead of this race now. That safety car really came out at a brilliant time for him. Domi's dropped a big portion of time here. He's on to some fresh softs to get rid of the 5-second penalty, I think. But he's still got a penalty. I think that's just going to be a 3 seconds. It is. There's a lot of 3-second penalties down there. JA Games, Jimsy, Domi, 5 seconds for back row Rutanius. 3 seconds for Psycho, 11 for Coffee Sipper. Pretty much meaning he won't be in that reverse grid order, I think, with that penalty. But yeah, if you're just tuning in, welcome. Obviously, the Misfits Racing League, typically on Twitch, F2 has been moved to YouTube. And unlike Twitch, the YouTube does have that like feature. So if you are enjoying the stream, please do hit that like button below. It's a little bit different here and there, but mostly the stream is still live. The racing is still live. The big difference being here today, I am alone. Typically, I'll be joined by Alex Biddo for these F2 races. But today I'm alone. But we have got 21 races, 18 still left in it. And the safety car should bring us a fairly exciting, probably 4-lap shootout, maybe 3, depending on if it waits for... I think that's Williams and Neon there. It is. Williams and Neon here. I think they might just make the safety car go around another lap. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can catch up quickly enough to get it going again. But as it stands, they're quite far off the back of this pack. The safety car is just coming into turn 1. These guys, they've just exited turn 5, so they're fairly far behind. But they won't have a delta. They can catch up pretty quickly. Let's have a quick look at what has happened in terms of position changes. So, Eric, he started this race in second place. The safety car, he's had a very consistent drive. He's up 1 place as a result of Domi, who started first, not having the safety car. He's just pitted, and he had to pit again to serve that 5-second penalty. Well, he didn't have to, but he wanted to serve it so it doesn't get added to his race time. But now he sits in 8th place, really just sort of focusing on the overall points, I think. We've got Eric in P1. He's up 1. Maka's up 3. Then we have Maxime B in his first F2 race since Abu Dhabi last season, up 11 places. He's had a brilliant drive right now, and he's got no penalties, which is very important. Then we've got Backrow. He's up 3. We got Rutenius up 1. His teammate JA Games behind him up 3 as well. A good drive from both of them. Especially Rutenius. He's had a very, very good recovery drive. He span earlier on in the session, coming through under another VSC that we, or a VSC that we had. Jimsy's down 3. Domi's down 7 for the aforementioned reasons. Coffee Sipper's up 1, but he has got a lot of penalties. Psycho, he's had a few issues. We saw him got caught behind a desynced car, and that's cost him a lot of places, 7 places. Varrock, he's in 11th. He's up 2. And we have Moen, 4-door sedan, Williams. Neon's up 3, despite a pretty bad qualifying for him. A little bit atypical for him. He's usually a lot quicker, but he's managed to gain a few places here. Welsh Toast's down 8. Steph's stayed where he was. He's qualified 17th. He's still 17th. And Yasko is up 1 as a result of those 2 DNFs. And the DSQ as well for Mavanji got disqualified for being parked in a dangerous location. Meanwhile, Neon, Williams, they haven't been able to catch the safety car. So we are going to go round again behind that, well, what was a silver Mercedes. It's still silver in this game. Obviously, the next game, it should be red. And we should see the Aston Martin as well. Hopefully that gets added. But here, the classic silver Mercedes there, up in the front with the Real Racers 1 logo on the side. Obviously the 2020 F2 cars here. We started using the 2019 ones, but ever since these ones have been added, we have got these 2020 liveries. And, well, even these are slightly outdated now because we've obviously got a few of the drivers who were in this in F1 now. And, well, they'll be available in that new game that comes out in a few months' time, and we're all very excited to see how that one goes, see what sort of differences that plays in. Hopefully it fixes a few of the bugs that we've been having problems from. Indeed, Maxime, it's been very, very strong so far from you. Keep it up. 3rd place right now. I think we're about to have a restart, so you should probably get back into that driving zone. But, yeah, like Bido said, keep that brain on the car indeed. But it's Eric who's going to restart this race. Presumably this lap, you can see Williams and Neon very, very close. Kebab Psycho, as he's calling himself this evening, he's had an issue. He's dropped even further. He's now in 13th, just ahead of Williams and Neon. So the bad luck gets worse for him. But hopefully that safety car gets pulled in and we see this race get restarted in just a moment. There it is then. The call coming in from race control to get that Mercedes safety car into the pit lane. And for this man right here, Eric, on fresh softs to restart the race. If he nails this, he is going to have a huge lead and something that not a lot of people are going to have an answer for. Maka, Maxime B, they need to sort of work together to just keep themselves ahead of the rest of the pack. They don't have any penalties. They don't have too much to worry about. They're only really a threat to each other. Then, behind them, back row, I believe, is behind the back marker of... I actually don't know who that is, but here we go. We have been restarted by Eric. You can see the softs affording him a bit of an extra traction there. Maxime B hunting down Mackie. He's made a lot of moves so far. He's up 11 places where he started. Now looking to make it 12 into turn 1. Maxime B up the inside of Maka. Maka, a veteran of the F2 series. Maxime B hasn't had an F2 race this season, but he's up into 2nd place here. 4-door sedan. He's dropped a couple of positions. There's Steph disconnected on the side. Psycho, Neon. Psycho coming out of the blocks, flying. Trying to get past here in the opening laps after that spin under the safety car, after the bad luck earlier. We've got Varrock there in 11th place, moving a lot slower down into the run, into turn 4. Neon's going to have a look on the inside. He finds it on Varrock. A nice move there from Neon. He hadn't had the best start, but back row, Rutenius, they're fighting as they come into the 6-7 chicane. Back row ahead of Rutenius, and Rutenius on these fresh softs. They're side by side. They're locking wheels. They're lucky that neither of them are in the wall as a result of that. They are still going. Look at how close they are going. They are literally locked together. I don't know how they're still pointing in the right direction. At least both of them. There's a little bit of contact between them both. They are really muscling their way through down into turn 12. Can they keep this up without one of them spinning? Back row giving Rutanius a big squeeze to the outside, but they're still going. Behind them, you can see Jimsy going for a massive lunge around the outside of JA Games. That MP Motorsport, both of them under pressure because Domi is pressuring Rutanius now around the outside of turn 14. Onto the penultimate lap they come. There is a lot of jostling around for position. There is a lot of movement in these cars behind. Jimsy has taken JA Games. They're side by side, but Domi down the inside of Rutanius. The both MP Motorsport cars could be losing out on a position here, and they both do lose out on a position from Rutanius. The exit out of turn 1. What a move from Domi. He has just managed to secure that one. Jimsy as well. He secures the place behind for P7. So nicely done there from these drivers to get those moves done. The MP Motorsport team will be a little bit disappointed with how that one goes, but there's not that combined constructors here in F2, so there's a little bit pressure to work with your teammate. Meanwhile, Domi, these fresh softs, we saw him pit twice under that safety car to get rid of that 5-second penalty. He has a look up the inside of back row. He realizes not a brilliant idea into 6-7. Pretty risky move. It could have worked. He's not willing to risk it here. He wants to just get past back row. 4th is probably the best he's going to get as a finish here, given that he's got a penalty. Maka and Maxime don't. So even with the tire advantage, it shouldn't be anything that he can really achieve. But 4th place, that's definitely achievable for him here as they run down into turn 12. Here he goes. The Hungarian in his home race goes up the inside of Rutanius. It's going to follow him through. What a move from the Dutchman. Behind them, you can see that Jimsy's going to follow them through as well. What a move from these two. What an opportunistic drive from Rutanius there. He really didn't look like he had the space, but he found it somehow. He found just enough space to squeeze that car through into P5. Now Jimsy, what a run he's got. The medium tires, they're fresh. He didn't have a set of softs to go to, it would seem, but he's gone for it up the inside of Rutanius. Who's going to have the better traction? You would put your money on the soft compound tires that Rutanius is on, and I think that is where it's going to be because Jimsy is in the grass. He is out of the points. He is out of that reverse grid, and that is not good for him at all. Yasko's had a similar issue. He's in the grass, just spinning in that Uni Virtuosi. So he won't be thrilled with how that one's gone either. Coffee Sipper hunting down Moen. It's Psycho hunting down Moen, sorry. The PWTs, they're under threat here as Moen just closes the door into turn 4, making sure that there's no opportunity there. We sometimes see Moen. He's a very reserved driver. He wants to just avoid contact at all costs, and that does work. It does work. It conserves as a consistency as Psycho. The opposite, a very aggressive lunge up the inside into turn 6, not working out for him. And Moen defends that place valiantly. Meanwhile, on the last lap of this race, the leader, Eric, well, what a drive it's been. With just 2 laps of green flag conditions after the safety car, he is 6.5 seconds ahead. That just goes to show the tyre differential. We've still got moves. Neon picks off JA Games to P7. This could be huge in terms of that reverse grid, but you want to score more points here because they're worth more in this race position-wise. But it's Eric crossing the line in P1 by an absolutely monstrous 6.2 seconds ahead of Maxime B in his first drive this season in F2. He takes P2. Then Maka in P3. Domi, he does secure P4. Neon, out of absolutely nowhere. What a drive from him for P5. Rutanius P6. His teammate JA Games behind him 7th. Four-door sedan, he sneaks into 8th place, and that's critical because he'll start P1 in the next one with the top 8 reversed for the grid in the second one. Then starting 9th on that grid behind Eric will be back row. Moen in P10. Varrock up to 11th. Williams in 12th. Coffee Sipper down to 13th after those penalties are applied. Jimsy 14th. Psycho in, I think that was 15th, but I'm not sure. I think Welsh Toast might have snuck in there. But what a drive we saw from all of those drivers. Maxime B, huge position gains. Neon as well. Driver of the day goes to him. You'd thought it would have gone to Maxime B, but I think Neon, a lack of penalties that might have just spearheaded him to the top end of this grid. But there it is. The Uni Virtuosi of Eric throwing his fist in the air, raising that trophy for this feature race. What a drive from him. He can be absolutely thrilled with that one because what a drive. The strategy worked perfectly for him. That safety car was timed to perfection for him. He took maximum advantage. He comes home with the win. You've got to feel for Domi a little bit. Got 4th place around his home track. It could have been the win if that safety car had come out for him, but it wasn't to be today. Eric, the Spaniard, takes P1 from 2nd on the grid. Maxime B from 14th takes 2nd place. Maka in the Prima Motorsport We see him time in, time out here in F2, and it shows off. That experience pays off because he's gone from 5th to 3rd to take another podium for him. Domi drops from 1st to 4th. That strategy not quite working out as a result of the safety car, amongst other things. Then we have Neon from 18th on the grid to take 5th place and 10 points away from this one. Let's just have a look at that penalty situation. 3 seconds for him. I think that really helped him. Rutenius holds station 6th to 6th. J.A. Gaines from 9th to 7th. Four-door Sedan 12th to 8th. And he will start pole position with that reverse grid mechanic. Then we have Backrow in 9th. Moen rounds out the top 10 and scores the final point here. Varrock in 11th. Williams, Coffee Sipper, Jimsy, Psycho, Welsh Toast, Yasko, and Steph, the other finishers of this one. Then we have Vox, F1, Movanji, and Striff failing to finish this race. Unfortunately, we've got 21 drivers. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, because we'll have another race in just a moment. It'll be a little bit shorter. No mandatory pit stop. The points will be, the positions will be less points. Only the top 8 score points, and the grid will be decided based upon the finishing order here, with the top 8 flipping up. But if you're just tuning in, welcome. This is Misfits Formula 2 action, which rounds off our racing week every week on a Sunday evening here in Europe. And well, if this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please do subscribe here on YouTube. We usually stream on Twitch. Everything else, all of our F1 action is over there, but for F2, our community event here, we do it on YouTube. So we'd be really thankful if you hit that like button, that subscribe button as well. All of our race highlights and replays are posted here on the YouTube channel. And a big shout out to everyone watching and our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking for a sim racing rig, then they are the people to check out. Check them out on their website. They do brilliant things for the sim racing community, so be sure to check them out. Coffee Sipper appeared to have some sort of issue there. Maybe his game was broken, so fingers crossed he's able to get back into this one. But upon his leaving, that 30-second countdown timer has hopped up at the top of the screen. But after that first race, I think we've got a lot to look forward to here. In a shorter race, no mandatory pit stop. I think we'll mostly see people start on the mediums, try and take them to the end. But congratulations to all of those guys who had a good race in that first one. Anyone who had a bad race in that first feature race there, then, well, here's your opportunity for a little bit of redemption. The sprint race, always a little bit chaotic. Everyone just going for positions from start to finish, just really hammering the guy ahead, trying to look for as many places as possible. But we've got 20 seconds. Everyone finalizing the strategy, finalizing the setup, getting ready. The strategy here, mostly just presumably start on mediums, I would think. I don't think you're going to be able to take a soft all the way to the end, unless it's a 7-lap race, which should be very, very short. But I think it's probably going to be more along the region of 11 or 12 laps. Not 100%, but there won't be a formation lap. So as soon as we see those cars, and there they are. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Hungary. And away we go. A fairly short timing sequence. And J.A. Games, what a start he has had. He is off the line like a rocket. Domi is past Neon already as well. Maxime B's already on a charge as well. Domi, he might have a look on the inside of Rutenius. Rutenius deep to try and get a move on four-door sedan. Where is everyone going to finish in all of this? J.A. Games leads out of turn 1. What a drive from him. There's been an issue behind, but it's Rutenius. Domi side by side, the Hungarian, looking for redemption around his home track. Goes a little bit wide. Fails to find it, but then a burst of speed out of turn 2. Gives him the inside line into 3, and what a move that was from Domi. I thought it was all over for him coming out of turn 2, but he managed to find that little bit of speed that just gave him the position. What a move from him. Steph, Striffium back into this one a little bit wide through turn 4, and that nearly cost him a position there. Varrock, he's had a problem further down the grid, but as it stands, Rutenius, who is that? It's Eric, dropping like a stone. We can't even catch him, he's dropping so fast. And there he is, off in the track, similarly to where Striff came off in the last race. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 2. No safety car right now. Four-door sedan, 1.4 seconds behind Neon already. That top 3 running away with it a little bit right now. And I think that's going to be good news for J.A. Gaines at the top, Domi, Neon as well, as they can all run away. Neon just needs to make sure he stays within that 1 second range for when DRS gets enabled in a few laps time. We've got 14 laps here. I think we're going to see all of these guys on the medium compound tyre. There's a few people, softs, for Seth and Jimsy. We'll see. I think they're going to go for a one-stop here. Just soft to soft, as Domi has a good run on J.A. Games. Here he goes, up the inside, down the start finish straight. Obviously, there's no DRS right now, but it's not a matter for Domi. He swings up the inside and takes lead around his own Grand Prix. We'll see whether he can hold on. Maxime B, we saw him pull off a lot of overtakes in that first race. He's going for it again. We've got another yellow flag. Who is this? It looks like there's been a problem here for Jimsy. Eric out of this one. He's called it quits in the pit lane very early on. But it's a shame to see him out so early. And he won the last race. So that really, you know, gives opportunity to a lot of other drivers. Meanwhile, we go on board with Neon on his front wing, which was very close to the diffuser of JA Games as they come out of turn 5. Around the outside goes Neon into 6. Never going to find space through there. JA Games just giving him as little room as he can get away with, and it works out for him. Brilliant little bit of defensive driving there. But as it stands, a fairly quiet start to the race. A few people have had issues here and there, but mostly it's been good, clean racing. Action-packed as well, which is what we like to see. And speaking of action-packed, Neon up the inside of JA Games. He didn't get him into 6. He has got him into 12, though. So for Neon, that is excellent news. He didn't have, you know, the best qualifying. He did have a very good redemption in that first race. The other Univirtuosi, Yasko, he's had a problem through Sector 2. But we know Neon is fast around this track. He proved it twice this week, winning both Tier 2 and Tier 1. Gaining himself a promotion as well into that higher tier. The fastest tier that we have. So a big congratulations to him for that. We'll see whether he can make it 3 races in a singular week. Or race wins, I should say. I think that would be an MRL record if he hasn't already got one. But there he goes up the inside. Maka on Moen. But Prima Motorsport, I said it again, with these two veterans of F2. They're here nearly every week. When that sign-up goes live, you're always sure to see one of these two having their name on that sheet. And there it is, Maka, Moen. A little bit of an exchange. Back row looking at Moen as well down into turn 4, but no one getting that move done. Yasko's out as well. So for the Univirtuosi squad, they are scoring 0 points here today. But again, the F2, it doesn't rule into that combined constructors, given that they're different teams. No one's a permanent driver. It's a community event. So for the teams, it's not bad. But for the individual, Yasko, Eric, they'll be disappointed that they didn't score points here, because whilst it's not every race that everyone attends, you can still be champion at the end of things. My co-commentator, usually Alex Bido, last season's champion in F2. We'll see who takes his spot this season. Takes up the mantle of the F2 champion. Meanwhile, lap 3 we're on. We're about to cross onto lap 4. And we've already got sort of these little pockets of drivers forming here, there, and everywhere. And for a track with, well, it was 21 drivers. It's now, 19 as Striff goes up the inside of Steph here for T17. His first ever F2 race. Rutenius, 4-door sedan. They're exchanging. Rutenius on the outside. And it looks like he's got that move done. He does. Up into P5 goes the Dutch driver. I'll be happy with that one in that MP Motorsport car. His teammate right now still on the podium. Getting caught a little bit, it would seem, by Maxime B, though. As they run down into turn 4. The leader's coming through turn 5. Striff on a real charge right now in that Carlin. Disappointing start. He's disappointed with his setup as well. But he's up into 16th position. Hopefully he's having a little bit more fun this time out. Battling here. It may be out of the points, but it's still a battle nonetheless. Maka, meanwhile, still on the rear of 4-door sedan. He's got past Moen just a few moments ago. We'll see whether he can pull off a similar move on 4-door. As they come through Sector 2, out of turn 11. One of the closest gaps on the grid right now. Through into turn 12. Obviously too far back there. You have to be really close to get a move off into turn 12. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. You're going to end up in the gravel. Otherwise, you're going to have contact. You don't want to be risking that sort of problem for both you or the other driver. Neon, a 128.2, becomes the fastest lap of the race as they cross onto lap 5. He is catching Domi. He's got DRS, aiding him to stay there. As Maka comes now, running up the inside of 4-door sedan. And as easy as you like, DRS dragging him forward. And that's a nice clean overtake there for the Prima Motorsport car. DRS as well to cart him away too. Back row, can he have a look up the outside of Moen? He's going to go late on the brakes to have a look to see if he can. Maybe this switchback for the Dams car. What a drive. What a move this would be. The #1 car going around the outside of the BWT. He hasn't quite got the exit out of 3. But can he be a little bit late on the race into 4? He's not that daring, it would seem. And for good reason. That is a very risky maneuver. Vorok seems to have had an issue. He is spinning in the exit and the grass on the exit of turn 1, I should say. So a little bit disappointing from him. Or for him, not from him. And there's been an issue as well for the P19 driver. Muvanji, he has not had what I believe is a debut drive to remember. He has been having issues. You can see there, his end plate has been collected by the pit wall. And you won't be too happy with that one, you can imagine. As we've got this lovely battle here for P8. In the last race, we had a battle for P8 as well. It means a little bit more there than it does here in terms of that reverse grid. But at the same time here, it's that last point. No one outside of the top 8 score points in this sprint race, unlike every other race we host in the Misfits, where the top 10 is the point scoring. Here in the sprint race in F2, you only score points if you finish 8 or higher. Now as they come down towards turn 1, it's back row having a nice look around the outside of Moen. We saw him try a switchback earlier. We're seeing him try one again. What a move from back row. And Kebab Psycho finds a way through as well. And I think Welsh Toast is going to have a little look as well. He does. He goes past Moen, up the inside, into turn 2. A little bit of a love tap on the rear of Psycho. Still side by side between Moen and Welsh Toast. Moen going off track there to try and stay ahead. It hasn't worked. He picks up a 3-second time penalty for his trouble. Goes into the rear of Welsh Toast here. And his teammate, Coffee Server, look at the carrier speed. What a beautiful angle we have had for all of this. To Moen's disfortune, to our entertainment, because what a bit of racing we just saw. Excellent move from Copy Sipper. He wasn't really in this fight, but that has just brought him well and truly into it. So nicely done from him. Maxime B. He's hunted down JA Games over the course of the last 3 or 4 laps. Rutanius followed him through a little bit as well. Maxime's been on a real charge. He's been someone people have been struggling to stop in the last race and the start of this one. Can JA Games stop him? It's going to be very difficult given that Maxime will have DRS. He just needs a good exit here out of this final corner as Neon sets another fastest lap. He is right behind Domi for P1. We're not going to see him move down into turn 1, I don't think, but I think we might see one into turn 2. You can see it there. He's a little bit far off right now. But as they go down to turn 1 for the top, for the guys in 3, we've got a yellow flag. It's Jimsy calling it quits in the pit lane. A shame for him as he retires the car. But as we come down out of turn 1, no position changes here. But Backrow and Psycho, they're going to have an exchange coming out of turn 1. It's Backrow into P8. We've got Kebab Psycho, as he's being called tonight, on the inside of turn 2. And it looks like he may have just lost out. Here he has! He's lost out big time because he's hit the rear. And I think he might have collected his teammate as well. Welsh Toast is spinning. The Chevreuse has hit Psycho, who's in the Trident. My apologies, they are not teammates. That is a big hit. And I'm surprised we haven't seen a VSC there. But Welsh Toast will not be happy with how that's gone at all. He has really been collected there. He went right, but that car could not stop in time. And that has cost him big time. It's cost both drivers. But for Welsh Toast, that's super unfortunate. Here we go. Maxime B, what a drive out of turn 11. Around the outside into turn 12. Not quite getting it. And for the second time this evening, we're going to see Rutenis try and go for a move. Last time it worked out superbly for him. This time, he's not quite been able to capitalize. Can he find it here? He can't. He needs to make sure he gets that good exit out of turn 14, though. This final corner they're coming through right now. Maxime B, he is sandwiched between the two MP Motorsport cars. And what a run Rutanius has got in the one with the black T-cam. We go down towards turn 1. Where is Rutanius? He's still here, hugging the inside line alongside Maxime B. Domi, Neon, they've exchanged for the lead of things. They're side by side up at the front. We've got Rutanius ahead for P4, but here we go, the leaders. They're side by side. Domi ahead of Neon. Psycho out of this one, calling it quits in the pit. They're still side by side as they come into turn 4, and Neon not able to get past, but Domi runs right, giving Neon a good look around the outside now, and Neon could box him in on that back marker here. Domi just finds the space though to hold on to P1. Rutanius picks up a 3-second time penalty, but what a bit of driving from Domi. That back marker could have caused him huge problems, but it didn't. Neon as well, giving him enough space to get through there. Excellent sportsmanship from him because he could have used that back marker to his advantage. He didn't. But Domi sneaks back into P1. Excellent bit of driving for him to defend that lead. Meanwhile, down we've got JA Games. Rutanius ahead of Maxime B. Maxime B was sandwiched between the two of these earlier. Now, JA Games still holding on to that podium position. He's in that trio at the top of things. Rutanius with the penalty means that JA Games has a good chance of staying there. I'm not sure if there was a tap from Maxime B, but I think there might have been with the way Rutenius' car just went, and Macca's got as well. Macca is into the wall. Same way we saw Striff go out of qualifying. That is so unfortunate for him. Striff wanted the Prima. The Prima's now copied what Striff did. So evidently it wanted him as well. Neon up into P1 for lead of things now. He's won 2 races here at the Hungaroring this week. He's looking to make it a third here in F2. He now leads on lap 9. There are 5 laps to go. Can he hold on? Can he stay ahead of Domi around Domi's home GP? It's going to be tough. But he has shown the pace so far this week in the F1 cars that he can do it. As Mavanji comes off ahead of them. Very, very unfortunate. He has not had a good debut drive. He will have to be going back to the drawing board after this one, analysing what he did wrong and really hitting that time trial, practice races, that kind of thing. Because he has really struggled here tonight. We've got another issue in Sector 2 coming out of Turn 13. Sector 3, sorry, coming out of Turn 13. It's been a real menace for some of these drivers today, as Coffee Sipper follows 4-door sedan through the 6-7 chicane. But going back to turn 13, it has been claiming cars into that inside wall time after time. It looks like it was Striff. It looks like he might be calling it quits in the pit lane. We'll see what he does. He retires. He was not happy with that setup. So not too surprising, but very unfortunate in his debut F2 drive. I wish it would have gone better for him. I wish I got a bit more of an opportunity to commentate him. Usually I commentate with him rather than for him, I guess is the right word. Or on him. Which sounds a bit weird, but I believe it'd probably be the correct terminology. Meanwhile, Neon Domi exchanging for lead once more up at the front of things. Domi regaining lead at his home Grand Prix. Both of these drivers have a point to prove here tonight. Maxime B, he's got past Rutenius. He's looking to get past his teammate JA Games as well. But the British driver is not having any of it. He has defended P3 for a while now, and Maxime B has got sick of it. He's got up the inside, put his nose where it didn't belong, and as a result, he's paid the price. Oh, and he's had a dangerous rejoin. He's collected a back marker there. It was Steph, who's in P15. But either way, not good news for either driver. That is so unfortunate for Steph, who was in P15, not likely to score any points. But for Maxime B as well. He could have got a podium, potentially, but now it's all over for him. JA Games, Rutenius, they're fighting out now. The two teammates battling the P3 with no incentive to work together as a team. Here goes Rutenius. What a charge he's got. What an exit out of Turn 9. Getting him the move into Turn 10. Through 11, he holds on to P3 right now. It looks like he might have damage. He doesn't. That front wing is clear, actually. But JA Games just dropping back a little bit, and he needs to be careful he doesn't drop to back row, because to Rutenius, he has an advantage on that penalty front. But to back row, he doesn't, so he needs to stay ahead of that Dams car. And staying in Rutenius' DRS would really aid him in that fact. And he needs to stay there. Anyway, Moen on the rear of Maxime B. Let's see, what can he do? Maxime B with a huge portion of that front wing missing. Means that he's going to come into the pits, which is going to give Moen the position to go back behind his teammate. We'll see what he can do. A couple of battles between teammates right now. Is that Neon? It is. Neon's had a problem. Neon has had a problem here. That Carlin car dropping, and that could really be good news for JA Games if he can stay there. Let's see, does Neon have any damage on Daruvala's car? It doesn't look like it from this helicopter cam shot. Doesn't mean there's not any. It looks like it's okay, though. Everything sort of calmed down for a moment. The calm before the storm, we'd call it in qualifying, and I think it's fair to say that here as well. And I was about to say the storm kind of looks like it's coming to us as well, because the track seems to be getting a little bit darker, a little bit cloudier as the session moves on. I don't think we're going to see rain as Macca. We saw him have a spin earlier. Coming out of turn 13, he's now going to have a look up the inside of 6. Hammers the brake, and that's thrown Moen off. Macca gave him all the room in the world, and sometimes if someone expects to be defending, they don't get the best exit, and Macca failing to capitalize here. It's a hard circuit to get that overtake done, especially here in Sector 2. But what an attempt. As it would seem, Williams has had a problem in the SMP racing car. He has. He's getting that turned around. Coming out of turn 7. And Moen holds on to P8 right now. That final point scoring position, a very important place to finish in this one. To get that final point, get it on the board for the championship as well as the weekend, but mainly just just for the bragging rights and the satisfaction of knowing that he scored in the points in this race. But it looks like Maka is going to be very hungry, looking for that final point scoring position into turn 1. There goes the Prima up the inside of Moen into turn 1. I don't think there's going to be too much that the Welshman could do to defend against this, and he can't. He drops into P9. Let's see. He's got 2 laps, well, 2.5 laps to find a way back past Maka, and he's only really got a few corners that he can do it at. That's the unique and the beauty of the Hungaroring. You can't pass through sector 2, really. There's a few moments where you can try it as Moen picks up another penalty. Maka penalty free, so he might even be able to beat Coffee Sipper here on the penalty front. He's got so only not going to beat one BWT but both of them, so he'll be happy with that one. As they come now through 6-7, Moen just dropping off the back a little bit. Everything's calmed down just a tiny bit. But Coffee Sipper, he's on the rear of 4-door sedan. 4-door, I don't know if he's got damage or if his pace is just dropping off. Maybe not managed the tyres quite as well as Coffee Sipper behind. Let's have a look at those front wings as they come through turn 12 now. Both seem to be intact as there's a back marker getting out of the way. That's one of the tridents, it would seem. As there's been an issue, it is Mavanji again. We've seen this plenty of times, and he has really struggled here this evening. But back on board with Coffee Sipper. Let's see what he's got on 4-door sedan. DRS, you heard that little beep there as they come onto the penultimate lap. Here he goes. He may not be able to finish ahead of 4-door sedan because of the penalties he's collected. He collected a few in the first race as well. But up the inside, he's going to have as much fun as he can. He's going to join this battle. He's going to engage in the fight and win it. He does. He's won the battle, but can he win the war and beat 4-door sedan to the line? He's got 1.5 laps to defend P6. Like I said, that penalty means he's going to finish behind him most likely. In terms, let's have a quick look at the penalty situation. It is only 3 seconds. So with a really brilliant lap from Coffee Sipper and a couple of mistakes from 4-door, it's not impossible to see the Dutchman here finish ahead of 4-door. But at the same time, it seems very, very unlikely. That is for sure. Now, who's that back row on the rear of JA Games? JA, he's dropped off the rear of Rutanius. He hasn't been able to stay there. He's really fallen back. The penalties, is that Neon? It is. The podium is still alive for JA. I was about to say how it wasn't. Neon's parked on the side of the track, but there he goes. The podium is back alive for JA Games. Back row as well. It could be a double podium for the MP Motorsport. This has just injected a very exciting dynamic into the final lap of this race. Who is going to finish on the podium? Back row is wanting to make sure that it's him. He goes up the inside into turn 1. On JA Games, he's passed in the dams. There is not a lot of opportunity for the MP Motorsport to find a way back past on the final lap. Backrow has timed this move perfectly. JA Games very deep into turn 2, looking to try and find a unique way past. Most things, you don't see them because they don't work, and that's why we've never seen someone try that before. But try he will as they come through turn 4 now. Backrow just ahead of him. He needs to close 7 tenths now. 8 tenths to Rutanius, I think, if he wants to be. I think Rutanius has 3 seconds. He does. Rutanius needs to make sure that he doesn't get any more than that. If there's a problem, it's Mavanji just on the outside of the track there. Just on the curb and pointing on the track. Just on the racing line a tad. Just trying to stay there to avoid collecting anyone else. And avoids that he does. But JA just doesn't have the pace here at the end of things. Very, very unfortunate for him. Domi's had a problem. Domi has got a problem. And does that open the door for Rutanius? I don't think it does. Has he got a puncture? It doesn't look like it. But Domi, around his home track, he will win one. He didn't win Tier 1. He didn't win the feature race, but he wins the sprint race here at his home Grand Prix. Rutanius, he will take P2. And it's only just because that 3-second time penalty was getting closer by the moment for back row. But 4 tenths behind is the Lambs driver. JA Games, Rutanius' teammate, just narrowly misses out on that podium, that top trio of drivers. But P4 for him. Neon, 5th place for him again. He finished 5th in the first race, I do believe, after starting, I think, 18th on the grid. So an excellent couple of drives from him. The guy who won Tier 1 and Tier 2. Failing to make it 3 races in a week, though. 4-door sedan comes home in 6th. Maka finishes 7th after he's had some real ups and downs here at the Hungaroring. Coffee Sipper, he does manage to score a point, failed in that first race due to a whole heap of penalties, but here the penalties don't stop him from scoring a singular point. Williams gets home in 9th, Moen in 10th. No points for either of them because only the top 8 score points here. Both of them having to make a pit stop, though. You can see there that the 0 pit stop strategy was the best. The top 8, or the top 9, sorry, all without a pit stop. Varrock, he didn't pit, but he has failed to score a point. The only person who didn't pit that finished the race to not score a point. His teammate Welsh Toast just finishing it behind him there. But what an action-packed race. The Hungaroring this week has really, really delivered. It has been such an exciting track. Back row picks up driver of the day. But my goodness, we saw some real action there. Rutania saying that was a fun and intense race. It was a fun and intense race to watch, to commentate. I hope everyone at home who was watching enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to put a like here on the stream. You can also rewatch this along with all of the other replays of all of our races here on the YouTube channel. But there we are, the podium, the Hungarian flag atop the top spot of the podium. Domi wins his home Grand Prix. I'm sure he will be absolutely thrilled with that. The event organizer here at F2. He puts a lot of work in, and his work pays off not only on the track, off the track, behind the scenes. He wins his home Grand Prix ahead of Rutanius, who takes 2nd place from 3rd on the grid. Back row finishes in 9th. JA Games from 2nd on the grid, falls to P4, but he put on some excellent defensive moves there. Neon, 5th place again for him. He drops 1 place, but still another 6 points for him. That will mean a lot in terms of the weekend performance. 4-door sedan from pole position here finishes 6th, an improvement on last race. 8th, Maka finishes 7th from 6th on the grid. Coffee Sipper finds 5 places from 13th to 8th, so an improvement as well for him. Williams finds 9th, and Moen rounds out the top 10 without moving on the grid. Maxime B, well, we saw him have a stellar first race, but he put his nose where it didn't belong. He dropped himself out of what could have been the podium fight, but for him, it wasn't to be. He finishes 11th here. Varrock finishes 12th. Welsh Toast in 13th. Vox in 14th. Steph in 15th. Mavanji there in 16th. Striff, Psycho, Jimsy, Yasko, and Eric ready to finish. Let's have a look at the overall weekend. Domi is the victorious one at his home Grand Prix. He will be very satisfied with that. Qualifying went his way. Qualifying pole, picking up 4 points there. Then 12 points in the first race, 15 in the second, and fastest lap as well in one of them. Eric in P2, he won the first race. He got fastest lap as well for 27 points. Rutanius, P3. We've seen him attend a few more of these F2 races recently. Currently leading the Tier 3 Championship, is doing well in both of these disciplines. Maxime B, in his first F2 race since Abu Dhabi last season, picks up P4. Maka, a veteran here in F2, picks up P5, just 1 point ahead of Neon, newly appointed Tier 1 driver in 6th. Then JA Games, 7th place for him. Back row finishes 8th. Then we have 4-door sedan, Moen running up the top 10. Coffee Sipper, the only other drivers to score a point, tied with Rutanius on 1 point, finishes in 11th place. We had 21 drivers, the other drivers being Williams, Varrock, Welsh Toast, Vox F1, Steph, Mavanji, Striffium, Kebab, Psycho, Jimsy, Yasko. 21 drivers. It won't be happening again next week because hopefully Alex Billow will be around. But what a race that was here in the F2, or races, I should say. 2 races. Very, very enjoyable to watch. Very, very action-packed. With that being said, though, that is all for F2. That is all for Hungary as well. We have had so many races, so many moments that we will remember for a long time. If you're looking for some action to watch here on YouTube, then all of our race replays are here, as well as highlights will be uploaded next week for all of the Hungarian action. But if you're looking for some right now, the Tholtzman charge from the Americas division is up on the YouTube channel, so be sure to watch that. If you could, be very appreciated if you whacked a like on this stream if you enjoyed. Thank you to everyone who tuned in the live chat. We've just moved the F2 to YouTube here. We stream all of our other races on Twitch, but so far the F2 races since last week have been streamed here on YouTube, and it's been going well. So if you do enjoy it, thank you very much for supporting, following along. And also a big shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. If you're looking for a sim racing rig or motion rig, that kind of thing, be sure to check them out on their website. Next Level Racing, they're doing brilliant things for the sim racing community, and we'd really appreciate it if you want to give them a check. Look, but with that being said, that's all from us. This being YouTube, we cannot raid anybody, but if you are looking for another F1 stream, then be sure to check out Striff. Obviously, one of my co-commentators, you know, in the week on Tier 2 and Tier 3. Obviously, Tier 2 and Tier 1, he also commentates Tier 3. My voice is going here. But yeah, it'll be about an hour's time on Twitch. Striffium SJ, be sure to check him out over there on Twitch if you're looking for another F1 stream. Obviously, we can't raid because we're not there at the moment, but in about an hour's time, Striff will be streaming, and that should be hosted as well on the Misfits RL channel on Twitch. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. We're going to hit you with the outro. Obviously, no raid, but it probably will come up with a recommended video. So if you're looking for that hit, watch a video, then watch Striff stream later. But that's all from me. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Tier 3 kicks off same time on Twitch. I'll be racing. Striff and Alex will be here for the comms. Stay safe. Have a good evening, and we'll see you in the next one.
We are back. We are back with some Tier 1 action.
And that is the AlphaTauri of Adrian straight head on into the Red Bull. And the Kai Bacchini has joined the party, and he's on these medium compound tires in the Merc. Is very late braking from the Ferrari. He locks up and he blocks Zamis. And who is that? That is Jean with a fantastic exit, and he is going to get ahead of both of them here. So I believe it's crossing the line now, checkered flag. Adam and Bajar in the first two to catch it early. Vettel now rounding the final two turns of 22 and 23 here in Singapore. The racing points collect the 1-2. Battery, there goes Ben the Bear now just ahead, taking the checkered flag, coming through the Casio triangle. It's still wheel to wheel between these two. Mick out with a great traction. Oh, what a run out of the chicane, and he gets it done. How's the exit for the Ferrari? Good so far. You can see wheel to wheel coming down the straight into turn 4. It's the Ferrari leading through. Ben, wheel to wheel now with Revo, and he has so much pace in this racing point right now. It's wheel to wheel between these two. How's somebody gonna go? He's drifted off. Does the exit? What an exit out of the Williams. Does he get him? Then does a big snap. Jake looking on the inside of 8 and 9. It's the Mercedes coming around the outside of 9. Does he get this move done on Tim? This is huge. This is absolutely massive. A drag race coming through 10 now down into 11. Here we go, and Zamis has the popcorn.
So Yukio tries to turn in, and Domi just says,
oh, and the stars.
Goes for a second.
What a move from the stars. That is the Renault of Van Putten up the inside of the Williams into turn 1. Freeware's gonna get Yoda. Freeware's gonna get Yoda.
Yoda wins the race!